Ladies and gentlemen, the 26th of June is earmarked by the United Nations as International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Drug Trafficking. With this year's day appropriately themed Share Facts on Drugs, Save Lives. Today's event is organized to herald week-long activities lined up in commemoration of this special day. Against the backdrop of the renewed war against illicit drug activities in this country, we must avail ourselves of every opportunity to drive the message home to Nigerians about the importance of having a drug-free nation. At the same time, it is equally important to make our message unmistakably clear to those involved in the trafficking of illicit substances, the cartels, barons, and traffickers, that it is time for them to quit or face tough consequences. To this end, the week will be devoted to a range of activities designed to accentuate the new anti-drug order and to further ramp up the agency's advocacy to the citizenry. This afternoon, we will also be launching the Standard Policy and Practice Guidelines, SPPG, for NDLEA councillors. Tomorrow, that is Tuesday, 22nd of June, I should be on NTA Tuesday Live at 10 p.m. with Oliver. Wednesday, 23rd of June, tagged NGO Day, is set aside for all NGOs working in the drug abuse prevention advocacy spectrum to hold their various activities in celebration of the UN Anti-Drug Day 2021. On Thursday, 24th of June, our lineup of activities starts with a program on Radio Nigeria at 8 a.m. The day will also feature a youth awareness program called Youth in School Day. It will involve our advocacy visitations to 6 institutions selected from each of the 6 local council areas of the FCT. On Friday, 25th of June, there will be a special Jumat service in commemoration of the United Nations Day at the National Mosque, Abuja. The day's activities will be capped with a movie premiere of The Silent Baron at the Silverbed Cinema, Abuja, at 4 p.m. Saturday, 26th of June, will feature the grand finale, the formal launch of War Against Drug Abuse, WADA, by the Commander-in-Chief, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR. The day will also feature a guest lecture and the unveiling of the National Drug Control Master Plan, NDCMP, 2021 to 2025. On Sunday, 27th of June, the week activities will be rounded off with a church Thanksgiving service. These activities will be replicated in all our state commands and FCT. The theme for this year's International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Drug Trafficking is Share Facts on Drugs, Save Lives. I'm sure Oliver may expand on it a little bit. It is very significant considering the unquantifiable and enormous danger posed by substance abuse. Abuse of narcotics has incapacitated the workforce of organizations and is destroying our communities and our society. It has brought about family disintegration, decimated the capacities of our youth, and given rise to all types of crimes such as insurgency, terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, rape, and violent extremism, which have befallen nations, including our dear country, Nigeria, with attendant health consequences on the users. I just returned last night from a visit to the Kogi State Command, and during one of our interactions with the stakeholders, I interacted with a kidnapped victim who had been rescued. And he was very definite. While he was in their stranglehold, in their camp, he noticed that every hour they were smoking cannabis. And every 3-4 hours, he noticed them popping tramadol and other substances. So there's definite linkage between this drug abuse and some of these consequences. The dynamism of the drug problem has made it imperative for us to continue to deepen our knowledge and understanding of this deleterious conundrum. In this regard, sharing facts about drug abuse and illicit trafficking in narcotics as captured by this year's theme will go a long way in shedding some light on hitherto hidden factors that aid predisposition to substance abuse, especially the question of new psychoactive substances. Again, we were at the palace of in Kotonkadfe, Ihimeje, and in the course of the visit, this was just yesterday, a young man who had now been cured spoke to us about his use of a psychoactive substance which they called lopi. It is smoked like cannabis. The thing is that those smoking lopi were encouraged to do so because they were told if you smoke lopi, no knife or metal can cut into your body, including bullets. So it's widespread, it's used in a widespread manner in the community. Until one day this young man was in the farm after smoking the lopi, of course. Mind you, it has a mild-altering qualities too. He was on the farm and the hoe mistakenly caught his feet, and it was bleeding. And they said, what is that happening there? Because you've just taken lopi. Aha, this is what it is. We are sending it to our forensic laboratories for us to see what's exactly the content of that, the chemical properties of it. And so on that day, he bled from a cut after taking lopi. That's how it was demystified. And then the advocacy began to make sense for them to quit this habit. So these are some of the consequences. The dynamism of the drug problem has made it imperative for us, as I said, to continue to deepen our knowledge and understanding of this deleterious conundrum, like the lopi that I mentioned. Drug abuse as an enabler of all forms of criminality is a hydra-headed monster that must be crushed if we must move forward as a nation. The solution lies in having hyper-efficient anti-drug machinery, which is what the NDLEA stands for. Since I joined the NDLEA this year, we have set the machinery in motion to reposition the agency. I'm happy to report to you today that after 5 months, we are making a definite headway in repositioning the NDLEA for efficiency and effectiveness. we have succeeded in boosting the morale and confidence of officers and men of the NDLEA through practical steps taken to address welfare and career stagnation issues. To this end, we instituted, among other measures, a bi-monthly assessment award for best performing commands and staff commendation to motivate officers and men on the field. Recently, the agency promoted 3,506 officers who have stagnated in the past years, some for upward of 10, 15, and even 20 years on one rank. There's one person who actually stayed in one rank for 21 years. Major administrative steps were taken to restore the visibility of the agency for local and international partnerships. And in 5 months, we have made appreciable progress. So far, the image of the agency has tremendously improved, so much so that today, people are now aware of the difference between NDLEA and NAFDA, because most people thought it was the same agency. Our interaction with the public has been enhanced and people come freely to volunteer information to us. By the same token, we have been able to attract international support that has yielded donations of operational equipment, technical assistance, training, and pledges of support by the UNODC, EU, US, UK, French, Indian, and German governments, and others. I thank you, Oliver, and the others for all the support. And later today, we are going to witness one of these support at the launching of the SPPG. We work to create a climate of unprecedented goodwill for the agency through advocacy visits to governors, traditional rulers, religious leaders, community leaders, and other stakeholders. Indeed, in Kogi State, I paid the visit to His Excellency Governor Yahya Bello and appealed to him to kindly give the NDLEA land to build barracks, because we are the only security agency that does not have barracks. We go after the traffickers and go back and sleep again among them in the towns. And there and then, the governor said, consider it done. So these are some of the benefits. On the advocacy visit to the governor of Rivers, His Excellency Governor Inyeson Wike at a different time, right there after the courtesy call, he asked us to wait, and 3 brand new pickups were prepared and handed over to us. And that day, the Rivers State Command of NDLEA, the Port Harcourt International Airport Command of NDLEA, and the ONE Seaport Command, each got 1 brand new pickup. So it's very important, the results that we get from these advocacy visits. A special purpose committee was set up to involve stakeholders in the war against illicit drugs. Just as well, we also created additional directorates in the headquarters to help the much needed repositioning and catalyze the peak performance required of the agency. We further took several steps to improve the operational capacity of our officers and men. Our expansion to zonal commands has also recently been approved by the NDLEA board. Expectedly, our painstaking and strategic operational efforts have translated into encouraging results. The agency's offensive action against drug cartels across the country, launched some 5 months ago, has yielded over 2,000 arrests of drug traffickers and at least 5 drug barons. the seizure of over 2 million kilograms of assorted illicit drugs. We have filed over 2,000 drug cases in court and recorded over 500 convictions in this time. These results have given us big insights into the magnitude of the drug problem. Sometimes, when you don't seize, arrest, and everything looks calm and quiet, you wouldn't know the magnitude. It is now that everybody is aware of the magnitude of the drug scourge in the country, considering the seizures, the arrests, and the various law enforcement activities. Distinguished guests, gentlemen of the press, the work ahead is enormous. NDLEA cannot win the drug war without the help of citizens. We need the cooperation of all and sundry. We all owe Nigeria the duty of ensuring that drug abuse and trafficking do not thrive in this country. For us all, it is an urgent assignment, because if we must end youth radicalization, violent extremism, cultism, banditry, wanton kidnapping, insurgency, and the like, drug abuse and trafficking must be dealt a decisive blow. To win the drug war, NDLEA must synergize with other law enforcement and sister agencies and stakeholders for maximum impact. The simplest contribution that we ask of every patriotic citizen is what is captured by the theme of this year's International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Drug Trafficking. Share facts on drugs, save lives. I want to especially thank His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, for his support. The President has continued to demonstrate the strong political will to address issues of drug abuse in the country, fully recognizing that drug abuse has a direct link to insecurity. We in the NDLEA will continue to execute the presidential mandate to fight against the menace of drug abuse and illicit drug trafficking. I also wish to seize the opportunity to thank our sister agencies, stakeholders, foreign partners, and the media for their support. The drug war must be won. With your support, our victory is assured. Thank you, and God bless. I want to give the assurances that I interacted in the beginning with our parent ministry, that is with the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation, and with his concurrence, I approached the President and Commander-in-Chief. And the issue to be addressed first, actually, or should I say, concurrent with the equipment, is about the liabilities. The liabilities that our staff face, and the widows and next of kin of our officers who died on duty. We have about 100 widows and next of kin over the years, whose benefits have not been paid. And I'm happy to disclose that the President and Commander-in-Chief has approved these payments now, and also resources to grapple with the liabilities and also the equipping of the agency. So very soon, you're going to see heightened activities from highly motivated personnel that are well poised to face the traffickers and all those involved in this nefarious activity. The vehicles you mentioned that I commissioned, I think within my first 2 weeks, were actually vehicles donated by the International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Agency of the United States. before my arrival. It's just that they had not, for some reason, they had been parked for 2 years somewhere. But we were able to get hold of them and distribute them immediately. That's what we did. Thank you. The issue of cannabis. I had the honor to address the Governors Forum virtually some time ago, and most definitely the Governor of Ondo State brought this matter. Well, I can only speak facts. When you plant cannabis, yes, you sell it and get billions, but the issue is between lives and money. Which one will you choose? From the drug survey, UNODC drug survey, which is one of the evidence-based, in fact, the key evidence-based document that we use. 10.6 million Nigerians use cannabis. And if you looked at the World Cannabis Report 2019, it's not 10.6 there, it's actually 20 million Nigerians, the highest country using these drugs. And we've always known that it has mind-altering substances. Even the abolition of Schedule I in the 1961 Convention still leaves Schedule 4, still leaves it under Schedule I, which is a demonstration that nations must continue to exercise strict control because of the negative consequences. And the WHO itself made the statement that cannabis still has health issues, and we all know that. Why will you be seeing fire and step into it? Yes, the issue of the use of cannabis for medicinal purposes is approved. In some countries, not in all. Not in all. And now we have to look at our own circumstances here. It's possible the time will come for us to rethink, but this is not the time. This is definitely not the time for Nigeria with the highest prevalence of use. Go to Lagos State. The drug use prevalence is 33% from that survey. Most of that is from cannabis. And the Southwest itself. Ondo State is the greatest grower of this substance. And the NDLEA will continue to burn any farm that we find and arrest the perpetrators of cannabis. It is dangerous. It is bad for our health. We will not agree as far as we are concerned. Now, I am aware that in the House of Reps, a movement is on by a particular committee to legalize cannabis, and that is absolutely within their right. But I doubt if it will be passed. The question was asked about the compulsory drug tests. They are not compulsory. Nowhere have I stated that the tests are compulsory. And let me start from the marriage question. I ask you, the press, facing me here. Please, those of you who want to marry off your daughters to drug addicts, raise your hand, let me see. Therefore, and vice versa, there's no one who wants to get. In fact, during the inquiries, before you get parents, before you approve, I'm sure you ask after the other family, isn't it? You ask what are their circumstances? Is he jobless?
and so on and so forth. And when you hear that family, they are a drug family of, I'm sure you turn your back from them. So why not, after all, don't we do HIV and genotype? It's an appeal, it's a suggestion, it's not compulsory. It's a suggestion and a guide. You want to get married, parents, let them do drug tests. You do it for them. That's even my further suggestion. Because anyone can go and bring, if a girl or a boy wants to marry my daughter, I myself will organize the drug test for him. I won't tell him to go and do it and bring the result. If he really wants to marry that daughter of mine, he will do it, wouldn't he? If I put it as a condition, so it's a suggestion. For politicians too. And it is already happening, because you asked the question how far. The Kano state government, no employee is given appointment or political office without checking his drug status. Equally, if you run for elections in Kano, councillorship, state house, local government, house of reps, and so on, the party will screen you for drugs. Why will you give a politician who has enormous responsibilities handling resources for the generality of people when he is a drug addict? He will finish all the money buying drugs, because that's another aspect of it, not to mention the condition of his mental health in dealing with affairs. And as far as students are concerned, the nuns are in tune with us. The president of nuns led his executive hailing us. In fact, the president of nuns told us that the same day that they were coming on the courtesy call, one of the students who was a drug addict saw a well and thought it was a swimming pool. And she announced, "I'm going swimming." And that was the last. She jumped inside and perished. So it's very, very important. But it's not compulsory. It's a suggestion that we're making. It's a plea. We're appealing. This thing, we have to rise up to it by ourselves. Nobody else will come and do it for us. The lobby, as I've just mentioned now, we'll be sending to a laboratory. It was only yesterday that we collected it from the Ohimeje's palace. The new psychoactive substances, which is not currently in our Act, will be included in the revised Act. Right now, the NDLEA Act is undergoing review. We have made a presentation, and that is part of it. The LISA, the quota, and all those, there's a lot of advocacy that's going to be involved, right from family level and personal hygiene. You talked about roadsides, drug dealers, and so on. We clear everybody, whether they're on the streets, on the roadsides. We don't allow anyone to sell drugs. We're going to clean the streets, the communities. On top of that, we have appealed in all our advocacy visits at the Obaros Palace, at the Olugidis Palace, Olujumo's Palace, Ohimeji's Palace, where we went around in Kogi, as we do in all the states. We appeal for every community to have a drug control committee in that community. They themselves know who are the people. Even some of the akara sellers, under you see drugs. We've appealed. Once we get the information from communities, we move in. We clear everything. We won't accept. Yes, those figures were within the last 5 months, from January. The figures that I read, the commands are upstanding. And I'll tell you one more thing. those reports that you read in the newspapers of seizures on television, radios, they are part of the seizures. It is not all the seizures. We look at the seizures, some of them are quite novel, and we choose to bring them up. A lot of the seizures were silent because the investigations are still ongoing. And when you bring those out, it will jeopardize our work, because we need to work backwards. Where do you get it from? And forward. Where is it going? And filter it into the networks of the particular cartel. And once that is not sorted, we keep the information. But so it's not even all the seizures that you are hearing about. It's just part of it. Thank you very much.